The categories will be combat, world design, and narrative. Let's start with combat. Dragon's Dogma, easily, no question, we don't even need to discuss Veilguard. The combat of Dragon's Dogma is far and away the high point of the game. While Veilguard arguably has a deeper upgrade pool and build diversity, nothing comes close to how Dogma allows you to climb on every single enemy. The battles feel downright savage as you get up close and personal with a gargantuan beast and viciously plunge your weapon into quivering flesh. It just feels so brutal. Not to mention epic. Never has a combat system been this open while also feeling so cinematic. I will never forget grabbing onto a griffin in what was just a random encounter in the open world, only for it to soar off into the sky, with me still clutching its feathers hanging on for dear life. This level of mechanical freedom can lead to more frustrating fumbles, but the fact I get to actually play how Shadow of the Colossus felt in my head is an easy cinch. Next is world design, and from now on we are going to start comparing the two because no other category has such an overwhelming victory as combat. Veilguard and Dogma take almost opposite stances to open world design. Veilguard has smaller maps that have branching linear paths, while Dogma presents a larger, more directionless realm for you to explore. Veilguard's world doesn't allow for much in the way of off-the-beaten-path discovery. However, the moment-to-moment traversal feels much more satisfying by its guided nature. This leads to more frequent and interesting discoveries that makes exploration feel worthwhile because you're guaranteed to always be rewarded. The problem with linear open worlds is that it can get dull going along the same pathways hundreds of times. Veilguard thankfully solves this issue with its robust fast travel system that makes the entire world feel connected. I was petrified when I went through the crossroads for the first time. I was thinking, oh god, please don't make me come back here every time I want to fast travel. The camping in Origins was bad enough, I don't need this too. Now, against an open world that allowed for more freeform and seamless discovery like Skyrim, Veilguard doesn't stand a chance. However, its opponent in this particular race just so happens to have smashed its ankles with a sledgehammer. See, Dragon's Dogma has one of the worst designed maps in modern open world history. This is thanks in large part to the lack of fast travel. This means that turning in a simple errand can involve a trek across the entirety of the world. You'd think that with the more open-ended nature of the game, that this wouldn't be a problem. You'd be wrong. See, Dragon's Dogma 2's world is built around pathways and linear tracks, meaning that the best choice of action is to always follow the laid-out path to your objective, creating an intense amount of tedium as you backtrack along the same roads for dozens of hours. Even the inhospitable Dark Souls graces you with a fast travel once you've proven yourself. So for Dragon's Dogma to unrelentingly punish you with sheer tedium is a sin I simply cannot forgive. The victory goes to the Veilguard. Finally, story, which is going to be the most contentious of categories, as neither one is particularly strong. Dogma's story is bland and forgettable. This is due to the fact that the game has no definitive main character. Now, there are hundreds of RPGs with bland, silent protagonists, but they almost always have a colourful supporting cast backing them up, and that protagonist is usually a stand-in for the player. The pawn system means that no such characters exist, and you're surrounded by characters with no goals or personality. That's not a deal breaker either. The early Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest games didn't have your party talk, and those games are excellent. But that's the problem here. Your party does talk. By the unholy tits of the Salacious Sphinx do they talk! They talk about everything, all of it equally meaningless and annoying, reminding you of the most basic mechanics and obvious objectives. Every time I walk through the main square, they point out how there was a chest we could grab, but they don't even have the decency to show you where in the crowded market it is, so I couldn't find it, and they continue to mention it every time I came back to town. You can say what you want about the Veilguard's writing, but at least it knew when to shut the hell up. Also, I'm fairly certain none of the Veilguard's party members caught the Blight, turned into an archdemon, and proceeded to destroy my entire save file with unimaginable consequences. It's like Capcom is trying to make me hate my pawns. On the other hand, Veilguard is by no means BioWare's best lineup of companions, but there are some real winners like Tash and Emmerich. The main narrative is painfully slow at the beginning, but ends in a finale so spectacular that it's more than worth the time investment. The companion questlines are solid across the board, being much more in-depth than anything BioWare has done before. You can say Origins had a better party, but when Ogryn's companion quest was just one conversation, you can't say that the Veilguard doesn't have more complex characters. Veilguard's biggest flaw is the lack of game-altering choices that have been present in previous BioWare titles. But when it's in a competition with a game that has no narrative agency whatsoever and is still boring, then small choices are better than nothing. The winner and champion is the Veilguard. I'll be back in 2 days. In the meantime, here's a video about how the Veilguard's story is darker than you think.